entertaining.
Tonight, underground and over budget, the first motorists roll through Melbourne's long-awaited Westgate tunnel. Good evening and welcome to ABC News Victoria. I'm Tamara, Oudyn. Also tonight, pay up. A taxpayer-funded trip comes back to bite the Attorney-General. 2 students dead and several others injured in a shooting at a US university. A chance discovery in remote PNG unlocks the secrets of a World War II mystery. And on the defence again, England's preparation still in question as they fight to save the Ashes series. "13 years in the making, the Westgate Tunnel has officially opened, with the first cars taking a trip early this morning. Linking Melbourne's inner west to the city, the new road will speed up the journey and funnel truck traffic from local roads. But it's come at a huge cost and will continue to sting every time it's used.
1.5 million cubic metres of soil gone, nearly 7 kilometres of freeway in its place. Built by 6,000 hands, the new Westgate Tunnel takes drivers 8 stories underground between the city and the western suburbs.
It's how you save 20 minutes travel time, depending on where you want to go. It's how you reduce congestion, get families home sooner. It's also, too, how you build for the great future.
By 2:45 this morning, it was all systems go, with eager drivers ready to make their maiden voyage. Kicked off by former Premier Daniel Andrews, the project took 3 years longer than planned. And the $5.5 billion build swelled to more than 10.
Jacinta Allen might be popping the champagne today, but Victorian taxpayers are going to be left with the hangover. $4.7 billion of taxpayers' money has blown out on this project.
But with Labor keen to dig deep and show itself as a party that builds, the Premier dismissed criticism as the cost of doing business.
Well, we made a choice to invest today for the future of our city and state.
A single truck trip could cost up to $29, while an off-peak car journey starts at just over $4. Cars using the Westgate Tunnel network will be tolled at 3 different points, with the steepest charges the city exit during morning peak hour. But throughout January, it will be free to use the tunnel on weekends.
The pricing for the toll has been something that we've worked through with the state government during the development phase, and it's been structured about what we think is fair and reasonable.
The new tunnel also makes it easier for trucks to access the Port of Melbourne. Combined with several 24/7 truck-free zones in surrounding residential areas, the aim is to remove up to 9,000 trucks a day from local roads. A big win for a community group that spent decades advocating to reduce noise and air pollution.
We feel so elated to actually get to the point where we've got Australia's first no truck zones on residential streets. That's an incredible breakthrough.
The rubber finally hits the road on a controversial development, just as a government hopes to secure its future. Samantha Johnsher, ABC News, Melbourne.
The Attorney-General has been forced to repay part of a trip she took to Perth after the independent watchdog found she'd breached the rules governing travel entitlements. Michelle Rowland is the first minister to repay taxpayer funds as the parliamentary expenses saga continues to consume the government and its agenda. Here's National Affairs correspondent Jane Norman.
On a visit to Perth in 2023, Michelle Rowland empathised with voters facing bill shock.
They are doing it tough when it comes to paying their bills.
2 years later, it's her travel bill for that very visit now causing the shock. The minister charging taxpayers more than $21,000 for the week-long trip, including $16,000 on flights for her family. Uncovered by the Australian Financial Review, the minister last week referred the claim to the independent expenses watchdog, which, according to her office, has found a portion of the family reunion travel expenses were outside the guidelines, and the Attorney-General has now commenced steps to make a repayment.
There's a culture of entitlement within the Albanese government. They think taxpayers' money is their money.
Asked whether she should stand down.
No, I do not think Michelle Rowland needs to resign. I think Michelle has done exactly what she should do.
Michelle Rowland is the second minister to refer their spending to the watchdog after Annika Wells, who sparked this latest travel furor. But they're not the only ones feeling the heat. The Trade Minister among Parliament's biggest spenders when it comes to family reunion entitlements.
Family reunion is important to keep families together. And I'm very confident that everything I've done is in accordance with the rules.
But they're the rules the Prime Minister has asked the watchdog to review after a week of relentless pressure.
I understand that there is substantial community concern.
As the parliamentary expenses saga seemingly widens by the day, the Treasurer is seeking to shift the focus to this week's budget update, revealing he's found $20 billion in savings to offset rising costs and extra spending on programs including the home battery subsidy scheme. The popular program was set to cost $2.3 billion over 4 years. Yesterday, the government reset the rules and tipped in an extra $5 billion.
Without the changes that Chris announced yesterday, the cost would be around twice that, around $14 billion.
Multiple pressures building all at once. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
In the US, 2 people have been killed and a gunman is still on the run after another campus shooting. This time shots rang out during final exams at the Ivy League school of Brown University. Students hid under desks or behind locked dormitory doors as hundreds of police searched for a suspect dressed in black.
Such a familiar American experience, and that is responding to an active shooter.
Another campus in America in lockdown after a gunman opens fire.
Today is a day that the city of Providence and the state of Rhode Island prayed would never come.
Authorities releasing this video of the gunman. They say a man dressed in black opened fire in Brown University's engineering building just after 4 p.m. as students sat for the semester's final exams.
What did you see? What did you see? I saw the victims outside after they had been shot.
We decided to close all the doors and turn also the light off and hide under the desks.
2 people were killed and at least 9 injured. The shooter escaping as police locked down the campus and surrounding area.
They did a systematic search of the building. However, no suspect was located at that time. It is unknown how he entered the building, but we do know that he exited the Hope Street side of that complex.
As some students were reunited with families, others living on campus and nearby were advised to shelter in place and lock doors, with the gunman still on the run.
What a terrible thing it is. All we can do right now is pray for the victims.
Prayers, but no answers after another campus shooting in America. Cameron Gock, ABC News.
Back home now, and in Queensland, a man has been charged with 8 counts of attempted murder after an alleged hit and run on the Sunshine Coast left a woman fighting for her life in hospital. Emergency services were called to Aerodrome Road in Maroochydore just before midnight last night after reports a car had hit 8 pedestrians. 4 people were taken to hospital, including a 24-year-old woman from New South Wales who was flown to Brisbane in a critical condition. The 38-year-old driver allegedly fled the scene. He was arrested at a nearby residence and will face court tomorrow. Dozens of passengers were evacuated from a train in Melbourne's inner east this morning after it hit a car stuck on the tracks. Police say a rideshare car driver was attempting a U-turn in Burnley at about 2:30 this morning when his car was hit by the oncoming train. Police arrested the male driver at the scene. His 2 female passengers were taken to hospital but weren't seriously injured. Train passengers were transferred to buses. An 82-year-old mystery to find 4 missing Australian crew members who died in a World War II crash has finally been solved. The 4 were killed when their bomber crashed in remote Papua New Guinea during a raid on Japanese forces in 1943. But 8 decades on, a chance find and a major expedition has given family answers they never thought they'd find.
In this dense jungle in Papua New Guinea, an 8-decade mystery is finally put to rest.
This is a photograph of my Uncle Tom.
All his life, Robert Burrows has wondered what happened to his Uncle Tom. The 20-year-old was one of 4 Air Force members who disappeared in PNG during World War II.
The mission was to fly over and bomb Rabaul, which at that point was a well-held Japanese base.
On this exact day in 1943, 10 planes set out, but only 9 came back.
When Grant Kelly rang it, he was halfway through the first sentence before it was, by bloody hell, they've found the plane. Started bawling immediately.
In 2022, teenager Willie Flynn stumbled upon a wreck while trekking up a mountain near Rabaul. It was the first clue that set in motion a major expedition to identify the plane.
We planned a number of missions to get to PNG. However, we were thwarted. 2 missions were aborted, and we were successful in October this year.
A serial number found on a piece of debris confirmed it was the one Tom was in. Over the past decade, just 7 lost Air Force planes have been recovered and over 1,000 are still missing. Finding them is complex but rewarding work.
He's a good-looking lad, isn't he?
For Robert Burrows, emotions are running high.
Finding out, finally, where Tom ended his days at the age of 20 just gives some, well, they call it closure. I'm not sure that that's quite the right word. I feel very emotional.
Closing a chapter with heavy hearts. Marion Farr, ABC News, Port Moresby.
Nearly 4 years after Russia invaded Ukraine, Moscow is turning to African nations to help bolster its front line. African men have told the ABC they were lured to Russia with the promise of a well-paying job before being scammed into serving in its military. Europe correspondent Elias Kluwer has this special report from Western Ukraine.
This secret location in Ukraine holds Russian prisoners of war, captured on the front line. The soldiers are resigned to a life of monotony. But not everyone here is Russian. The prison is holding dozens of African men. Many of them say they were scammed into fighting for the Kremlin cause.
I want to go home. I want to see my family.
I didn't know what I was going there.
So you were tricked into fighting?
Yeah.
This is one of 5 prisoner of war camps in Ukraine. The Ukrainian government granted us access because it argues its POWs are being treated humanely. The men held here are currency in future prisoner swaps. Rooms are warm but basic. The common areas cold and silent. Evans Kibbert says he had no intention of fighting. He was once a promising middle distance runner in Kenya, but it wasn't paying the bills.
This running was not paying me, was not giving me money, and also I wanted to support my family.
Where are you from? It's believed some African men arrive in Russia after answering social media advertisements. Evans says he was lured there by a fellow Kenyan working on behalf of Moscow, who told him he'd be paid for doing what he loved.
And he told you that there was a festival where you could go and compete?
Yeah, they told me that after the event they will give me some allowance.
Do you remember how much it was?
No, they didn't mention.
So if you didn't know how much money you were making, why did you want to go to Russia?
For me, it was like they pay everything. I don't have to pay anything. Then it was like, okay, let me go and visit.
After arriving in St. Petersburg, he says he was tricked into signing a military contract that was entirely in Russian.
I guess some people might be curious as to why you signed a contract and you weren't able to read it.
I trusted this man.
After a week of training, he was sent to the front line.
Bombs, rockets. You wait for your death.
How were you captured by Ukrainian soldiers?
I surrendered myself.
Ukrainian officials say Evans' story is a common one, highlighting his case on social media as part of its information war with Moscow. The Kenyan government believes 200 of its citizens are fighting in Russia. It's asked Ukraine to release all of the Kenyan citizens in its custody.
Why doesn't the Ukrainian government just release them and send them back to their home countries?
Ukrainian side, and Ukraine is very open to any negotiations with any government.
But it's not just Kenyans being drawn in. Ukraine estimates more than 1,400 Africans from 36 countries are currently fighting for Russia. Tam is from Cameroon, where he worked as a maths teacher. He made the journey after being offered a job opportunity that he thought would better support his family.
Did you know that you'd end up fighting?
No.
He's now desperate to go home.
My wife, my mother, everybody, I want to see them.
What we discovered in there was something more complicated than I expected. There really is a mix. There's people who say they were tricked into fighting for Russia, but then there's people who say they went voluntarily. They were effectively mercenaries, but almost all of them feel that they've made a mistake, and now they just desperately want to go home.
But for now, these men are resigned to a life inside. Elias Kluwer, ABC News, Western Ukraine.
2 US soldiers and an American interpreter have been killed in Syria, with President Trump vowing to retaliate against Islamic State. 3 more US soldiers were wounded in the attack in the Syrian city of Palmyra. The Pentagon says they were supporting counter-terrorism operations when they were ambushed by a lone Islamic State gunman. President Trump has warned of serious retaliation.
We mourn the loss and we pray for them and their parents and their loved ones. Very, very sad.
Mr. President, will the U.S. retaliate against ISIS?
Yeah, we will.
Israel says it's killed a senior Hamas commander who was one of the architects of the October 7th attack. The strike on a car in Gaza City is the highest profile killing of a Hamas figure since October's truce. Israel says it was in response to a Hamas attack on Saturday that killed 2 IDF soldiers. And Belarus has freed 123 political prisoners, some arriving to a warm welcome at the US Embassy in neighbouring Lithuania. Their release comes after the US agreed to remove sanctions on potash, a key ingredient in fertiliser. The US and the EU had imposed a range of sanctions on the Russian ally after a violent crackdown on protesters in 2020. Back home now, and the Australian Medical Association has sounded the alarm on the rapid rise in medicinal cannabis prescriptions in Australia. It's called on the Health Minister to tighten controls, saying prescribing practices are still poorly regulated. Alan Kohler has gone through the numbers and looked at what needs to change.
When cannabis was legalised for medicinal use in Australia in 2016, it seemed like a pretty good idea at the time. Dozens of countries and American states had either fully legalised it or made it available for medicinal use, so we were just joining in. But it's had a very awkward, unintended consequence. Have a look at this chart. The rise in consumption since the pandemic has been more than anyone expected, although volumes have dipped a bit this year, maybe because the market is saturated, as it were. It's because the supply chain has become very efficient. Clinics have sprung up that do nothing but issue cannabis prescriptions on telehealth. In effect, they're online weed bucket shops, or Uber munchies, since the stuff is usually delivered. And most of it is imported for some reason, with 80% of the imports coming from Canada. Now, medicinal cannabis may be a worthwhile therapy for many people who suffer from pain, anxiety, depression or insomnia, although the AMA says there is little or no evidence for that. But this is a prescription medicine that has not gone through the usual trials to determine quality, safety and effectiveness, and approved by the Therapeutic Goods Administration like other prescription drugs. The truth is that it looks like a lot of people are buying it simply because they want to get high. And why not? It's much safer to get it from your local chemist than a dodgy dealer. It's a little bit out of control, and the TGA, the AMA and the Pharmacy Guild are all alarmed about it. Cannabis should probably either be regulated like a normal prescription medicine, as the AMA and the Pharmacy Guild want, or just legalised as a recreational drug like alcohol, so we can buy it in cafes like in Amsterdam, or cannabis shops, as in 24 American states. At the moment, the government is trying to have it both ways. It needs to pick one.
Time for sport now, and Australia is on the verge of retaining the Ashes with England staring down a series sweep. Alexia Pesce joins us with sport. So, Lex, it leaves pressure mounting on the head coach.
It certainly does, Tam, and it doesn't get any easier from here. Reinforcements are on the way for Australia, with captain Pat Cummins bowling at full pace in the Adelaide nets. But the England coach, Brendan McCallum, believes the tourists can revive their hopes when the third test gets underway on Wednesday.
It's do or die for the tourists, and they're searching for answers.
Doesn't mean we don't have the skills, but at the moment we just haven't found that little ingredient you need if you're going to come to Australia and take them on in your own conditions to be successful.
After heavy losses in the first two tests, England has faced criticism for its performance on and off the pitch, including an altercation between a team security guard and a Channel 7 camera operator.
Hopefully it's being dealt with and everyone's able to move on. Obviously we know come to Australia there's a lot of eyeballs, there's a lot of intensity and scrutiny on everything you do, and feel like we've managed ourselves pretty well throughout this tour.
When you're going really well, you like the extra attention. When you're not, you don't enjoy it. So, yeah, it's just part of the job, unfortunately.
McCullum defended the team's decision to spend some time on the beach in Noosa rather than the nets.
Spend some time away from the heat of the battle and just try and spend a bit of time together. And I think now, you know, the freshness which we come into this test match with will hopefully pay off.
But a different heat is expected in Adelaide, with forecasts in the mid-30s.
I always think that the heat probably plays into our hands a little bit better. Yeah, I think it's the same for when we go over to England and it's really cold. I think it plays into their hands.
Australia's had the hot hand, and England need to quickly find form to keep its Ashes hopes alive. Sophie Holder, ABC News, Adelaide.
Hobart Hurricanes veteran Elise Villani has completed a fairy tale finish in the WBBL, leading her team to victory in the final against the Perth Scorchers. It makes for some spectacular celebrations in Tasmania, where both the women's and men's teams are the current champions.
Nice job. Thank you.
Elise Villani and the Hobart Hurricanes mixed with fans who revelled in the team's first trophy win in the WBBL.
Thank you for coming.
Real testament to the organisation and the resourcing and the support that they've put into both programs, and to be able to see the fruits of that now in two championships is something that's really special.
The winning moment convinced the 36-year-old former international Villani that it couldn't get any better for her in the T20 competition.
That was my final WBBL game, and I couldn't have been bloody prouder to have shared it with each and every one of you and to finish as a bloody champion.
She's such an inspirational leader, and I know the girls will miss her dramatically next year.
3 games in 3 different cities over 5 days appeared to take its toll on the Perth Scorchers. Hobart chased down the target of 138 in only 15 overs in an 8-wicket win. Lizelle Lee smashed an unbeaten 77.
This may well be her most memorable half-century in the WBBL.
Seeing her hit all those sixes was really nice to see.
Yeah, look, I'm trying to have fun when I'm batting, and yeah, it was just amazing.
It wasn't much fun for the visitors.
To all the fans, I know you hate our guts, but thank you for tuning up, because you guys do make it though, so...
And those fans are starting to get used to seeing the Hurricanes lifting trophies. Duncan Huntsdale, ABC News.
Melbourne United have been handed a 4th consecutive loss, this time an overtime thriller at the hands of the Sydney Kings. After being 7 points down with 5 minutes to play, with the scores locked at 84 all, Xavier Cook's layup extended the game into a thriller. Sydney's Kendrick Davis hit a 3, then nailed a free throw in the dying seconds as his side secured the win, 92-86. It continues Davis's strong form, finishing with a game-high 26 points to go with 6 assists. United no doubt have a heavy review coming, landing just 1 of 28 three-point attempts and finishing the game with 24 turnovers. To the A-League, Juan Mata has treated the Amy Park crowd to a midfield masterclass, helping his side shake off a 4-game goalless streak, beating Adelaide United 2-1. Mata was the puppet master of his side's pressure and dominance, playing a part in setting up both goals. The win now eases pressure on coach Arthur Dales.
It's always nice to see the team celebrate together, that's for sure. But, you know, this group is very together, and during moments like this, it shows how together you are, and you can easily crumble because there's massive expectation and things don't go your way, and they haven't done that.
Australian Bree Walker has continued her strong form in the lead up to next year's Winter Olympics, with victory in the monobob at the World Cup event in Norway. The 33-year-old set a track record on her way to recording a convincing win. It was Walker's first World Cup victory of the season and the third in a year in a row she's won the event. The countdown is well and truly on, with the Milano Cortina Winter Games starting in less than 2 months.
I love Lillehammer. We spend a lot of time here, so to be able to walk away with the win today by that much too is really crazy. I mean, the field is so strong this year, so yeah, I'm just stoked with that result.
Now, don't look away, because this is some crazy stuff. Overnight, some of the largest waves ever surfed in competition have been ridden at the Nazar Big Wave Challenge overnight. Thousands lined the cliffs at the famed Portuguese surf break to watch the world's best in action. Brazilian daredevil Lucas Chumbo suffering not one but two of the heaviest wipeouts of the day. He was no doubt in a world of hurt after that one, but took home best male performance for his trouble. French charger Justine Dupont was the highest scoring woman for this incredible ride. Trouble is one way to put it. You couldn't pay me to get in that water.
Same. That is incredible. Thanks, Lex. While an amusement park isn't a typical Christmas party venue, some very deserving families had their holiday celebrations at Luna Park today. Organisers at Camp Quality say the aim is to help bring positivity to kids dealing with their own cancer diagnosis or that of a sibling or parent.
A moment of Christmas joy for families going through the unimaginable.
We have our family camps, family getaways. We also have our family fun days, which is what we're doing today.
Around 500 today enjoying an escape from hospital appointments and treatments for a ride or two here at Luna Park. Wyatt was 3.5 years old when he was diagnosed with cancer.
He's just over 1 year post-treatment, happy and healthy.
He says his favourite part of Camp Quality is the friends he's made, including his best friend.
See ya! We're just friends and we like to play with each other. I remember one time when we were at Camp Quality and we made an entire Batman Lego base.
His mum Jess says the connections she's made have also been invaluable.
Obviously your family and your friends support you through this journey as much as they can, but no one quite understands you like another parent.
Camp Quality says it's helped about 4,000 families across the country this year, and it's important to recognise that the need for support doesn't end when treatment is over.
Families are always thinking, how are we going to survive this week? How are we going to survive this year? Where do we go from that?
But today is about something else.
Getting to spend time with friends and having fun times.
And no trip to Luna Park is complete without something that makes you squeal. Olivia Sanders, ABC News, Melbourne.
We've just got some developing news now that we want to mention. Police in Sydney are responding to reports of an active shooter at Bondi Beach. They've called it a developing incident. They're urging people to avoid the area, or if they're there, to take shelter. It's being reported that multiple gunshots have been heard on Bondi, with beachgoers fleeing the area. Keep you posted on that. To the weather now, and last night thunderstorms persisted into the late evening in Gippsland before a cooler westerly flow moved in, bringing showers to the south. Overnight lows were close to average. It was a little warmer in the northeast. It was coldest at Mount William on 5 degrees. Today, a deep low-pressure system south of Tassie produced fresh and gusty southwesterlies and a handful of showers in the south and east. The state's top of 29 was recorded in several centres, including Mildura, Swan Hill and Walpea. We hit our high of 21 in Melbourne just after midday. Interstate today, it was partly cloudy in Sydney, Darwin and Hobart. Mostly sunny in Adelaide, 40 in Perth. The satellite images showing convective cloud across the top end, mid to high cloud over much of the country's interior and thick cloud over the southeast. A high to the west of the state is directing a southwesterly flow over Victoria before a ridge moves in from the west late tomorrow. Showers will clear in Victoria, New South Wales and SA tomorrow. Intense storms will affect much of Queensland, the NT's north and northern and western WA. For the capitals, there'll be a shower or two in Sydney, partly cloudy in Brisbane, sunny in Perth. Back home, we're heading for a cool to mild day with moderate south to southwesterlies, which will tend south to southeasterly later. Dry and mostly sunny over the north with a few isolated showers south of the Divide, but they should clear later in the day. On the bays, 15 to 25 knot southwesterlies will turn southerly and drop back to 15 knots, waves to 1.5 metres, and there'll be strong winds along the central coast and the central and east Gippsland coasts. Monday in Melbourne will be overcast with a top of 17, down to 11 tonight. And looking ahead, Tuesday partly cloudy 22, then it heats up. Wednesday 33, Thursday 36. Friday some showers with a top of 30, same on Saturday. Showers on Sunday with a top of 26. That's it for this evening's bulletin. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow night from 7. Until then, good night.